With the Division's 1.7.1 patch being released this week, a lot of things are kind of looking good for the Division, especially when you think about how upset a lot of the players have been for the past few weeks about the RPM glitch being in the game and not being addressed fast enough, and with a lot of things like desync and lag and other issues that players have just not really been all that happy about. They've even gone so far as to have a concealed agent day where players just decided they weren't going to play for one day to boycott the game to show Ubisoft and Massive how they really felt about all of the running around and not really taking care of the community as a whole. So lately, with 1.8 on the horizon, players that I know and subscribers have been asking me, Khan, what do you think of 1.8? Are you hyped? Are you looking forward to it? What do you think? Is it going to be awesome? And I guess my answer to that is that I'm concerned. There's some things that I've been thinking about and kind of holding on to in the back of my mind for a while that I just didn't really want to say publicly. Some of the people that I talk to regularly, they kind of know how I feel about 1.8, but I think I'm going to take this time to finally publicly say how I feel about my concerns for 1.8 and the future of the game if it continues to go in the direction that I think. Now, I could be wrong. I'm hoping that some of the ideas that I have are completely wrong, but I really do hope that you guys take the time to check out this video and let me know after I present some of the things that I've heard from the developers and some of my own ideas. What do you guys think about 1.8 and what do you guys think about the future after 1.8? I think the initial 1.8 will be received pretty well, but the one thing that I am most worried about is the longevity after 1.8, because I see something that seems to be a glaring flaw that I don't really hear anybody talking about. So in this Let's Talk, we're going to talk about 1.8 and why I'm concerned. So before we can actually get into the thing that I'm really concerned about, there's one very, very important question that we need to ask each other so that we can really understand why it is this concern is something that everyone should be worried about. And that question is, what is it about the Division that keeps players coming back? Is it the PvE content, or is it the PvP? Or is it a mix of both? What gets players excited and makes them feel like this is the Division and I love it? Is it clearing an incursion? Is it doing heroic missions? Is it winning a long manhunt fight? Is it crafting the perfect build that's taken months to find the perfect pieces for? Maybe it's jumping people in the DZ, taking their loot, standing on top of their body and clapping. I can't say for sure what it is exactly is the reason that works for you, but I think that all of us have our own reasons and they can be very different. So no matter what the answer is, I think a lot of things will change in 1.8. And I have a sinking feeling that it won't be for the better. So the one thing that really is bothering me is the optimization station. So if you don't know what the optimization station is, you kind of need to know about this new change that's coming to the gear score. Now I'm going to play a video for you guys of what they talk about the new gear score, and then I'll clear that up just in case you still don't understand it, because I've had people say that they watched the state of the game and they still didn't understand it. And I'll go over it quickly and then we'll talk about my concerns with the optimization station.
So how does it work when I log in the first time? How does it work practically in the game?
Oh, Keith, are you ready?
Yeah, so when you log into 1.8 the first time, you're on your character select screen, you see your gear score. It's not going to say 256 anymore. Yeah, so the gear score is now reflective of the quality of the rolls of on all your items. So if you have a really good armor roll and a really high primary stat and majors and minors, your gear score is going to be closer to the cap. So the new gear range for World Tier 5 is 256 is now like, that's the bottom line. That's what everyone was at. No one's going to go below that unless you start equipping World Tier 4 gear or something. And you can push up to 286. That's the new cap. So running around the world, you'll see players with different gear score, your loadout screen. You might have your Lone Star build totally min-max and awesome, and now you're working on your Alpha Birds build and kind of boosting that gear score up.
So very quickly, just in case all of that jargon didn't really mean much to you and you still didn't understand what's going on with the new gear score, the actual power related to the gear score and how those weapons and everything and the armor and all of that stuff, none of that is actually changing. The only thing that's happening with the gear score is that the numbers are going to more clearly be in line with how perfect the gear and the weapons that you have are. So the new gear score is going to be 286 or somewhere around there. And what will happen is with this new 286 gear score, if you have the perfect God roll armor or weapon, then you will have a 286 gear score number on that item. If it is not anywhere near it and it's total trash, then it'll be all the way at the bottom in the garbage bin with the rest of the 256 or whatever that other stuff is. So what you really need to know is that if you have the best of the best in terms of gear and weapon, it will say 286. But if you don't, then it'll be lower than that. That's all you really need to know. So now this brings me to the optimization station and why I'm really concerned with it. Now, I'm not against this new gear score change. I think that it's a really good thing and it will help out a lot of the agents who are either new or still a little bit confused about how gear works and really about the quality of their gear. I don't see anything wrong with giving them the information to clearly discern whether a gear piece or a weapon is better than something else. I think that's awesome. Where I do have concerns is how this optimization station is basically going to, in I would say probably less than 3 months, give people perfectly God rolled loadouts and gear. People are going to have completely perfect builds because of this optimization station. Now I'll let that sink in because I know a lot of you have builds that aren't really even close to perfect, and a lot of times you just get destroyed in PvE or PvP content. But just let that sink in that within maybe even a couple of weeks for some players, they're going to have completely perfectly optimized builds with completely perfectly optimized gear in a very short time coming after 1.8. I'll let the developers tell you what 1.8 and this optimization station are all about.
It's super exciting. It's all kind of wrapped into one. This new visualization, the gear optimization. So, you know, just imagine going to this new optimization station. I'm sure we'll talk about this in a minute, but there will actually be a place in Camp Clinton in the terminal next to the recalibration station. It's going to be an optimization station. You're going to take your gear there, and you're going to watch that number climb every time you go and optimize it. And so you get this physical, this tangible reward and visual identification that you are better, right, than you were before.
Absolutely.
Huge.
And if nothing else, then saying optimization station is kind of the best thing in the division right now.
Yes.
The best thing in the division come 1.8. Their idea of giving people access to perfectly rolled everything is the best idea and the best thing coming. So when we start thinking about the division, People often ask me because they've seen me playing Destiny 2 lately, and before the Division even came out, I played Destiny 1 a lot. And I really enjoyed Destiny 1. I know some people don't, and maybe you'll instantly just hit that thumbs down button because you don't like Destiny. But before you do that, just think about something. The Division is quite lacking when it comes to PvE content. The story is kind of left people at a cliffhanger. It really got us sunken into this world that's beautiful. I think the Division has one of the greatest looking open world spaces. It's completely detailed in so many ways, and I think it's awesome. But you know, we have all of this open empty space in the light zone, and we don't really have a lot of story. We're not going to get any more story. According to the developers, when they first started talking about year 2, or however this year is set up, all of this DLC is supposed to be free, but there won't be any story driven content coming with the Division. Now that is really on the table, and there's no mistaking that, straight from the horse's mouth, that's what they said. What is there left to do in the Division? Well, first of all, in my opinion, and you can disagree with me if you like, I believe that the Division is really about making builds. The thing that really keeps people interested in the Division is its diversity in making builds. You make a build, you test it out, you see how it goes, you come up with a crazy idea, you tinker, you tweak, you find something that's really amazing, you run with it, and then when they decide to run a new patch or a new update, you have to kind of go back to the drawing board, even if you have an idea, and test things and see what they come up with and what works. That's kind of why a lot of YouTubers who make the Division build videos on their channel are quite successful, much more successful than me. But I'm not really interested in making build videos. I just want to enjoy the game, and I want to play around with stuff when I want to, but I don't want to tell people how to make these builds so that they can just copy without experimenting. I think that the experimentation, finding these things, is really important and gives you a sense of identity when you play the game. Now, with that being said, I do really think that builds are the cornerstone of the success of the Division. If the builds weren't so diverse, if there weren't so many variables and things that could go right or could go wrong, when you pick up a new gear piece and you see that it's completely awesome, you wouldn't get excited. Imagine now you can pick up any piece of garbage gear and then say, well, I've got enough Division tech and I've got enough credits. I could re-roll this into a god roll piece. Would you want to? Probably not. But the fact that you can really takes away from what makes the Division special, in my opinion. Do you agree or do you disagree with that? Let me know. So, with the opportunity to get this perfect gear and these perfectly rolled pieces, eventually, and again, I'm saying that not in the first week, maybe not in the first month. Some people will have these perfectly rolled builds because they play ridiculous amounts of hours and they already have pretty much near perfect builds anyway. Well, they're going to get even better. So for the solo player, what is he supposed to do in the Dark Zone? He's going up against 4 perfectly universal soldiers. You got Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren and anybody else from that series, and it's you all alone trying to figure out how you're going to take those guys out, and you probably won't, especially if you don't have that perfectly god-rolled build. I see this as a problem. I think people are going to get really frustrated. And, you know, the developers say that they have data. They've tested things. I'll let them talk a little bit about what's going to happen when you first start up 1.8. and about where they're getting this data from to be testing things.
Like how does it feel when you have accrued all the and you have you've gone to the optimization station? Can never get enough saying that. Many times you've optimized your gear, you have the build that you really wanted fully optimized at the optimization station. How powerful do you feel?
Well, go ahead, Keith. Go.
Well, I mean, so the best way to think about it is, in a way, a lot of our players have played with these builds because when they go into Last Stand, the way normalization works is it boosts everything up to its max, right? You're sitting at like 35% armor. All your primary stats are boosted. So in a way, we're giving you the ability to push to that kind of like perfectly min-maxed build that you've been playing in Last Stand and that you'll have in Skirmish, but use it everywhere in the game. So, you know, this is going to let you push further in PvE content than you could before. And the biggest thing that's changing is that, you know, before you could go in and recalibrate your stats and your majors and minors, but you couldn't touch your armor roll, right? Like if there was a very rare piece of gear and you finally get the drop and you inspect it for the first time and you see it has just a bottom barrel armor roll, that piece is basically trash to you, right? You have to throw it away. Now you can take it to the optimization station, invest in this piece, and improve the armor roll all the way up to its max. So in terms of really raw power, that chasing that 35% armor is kind of the best thing that you can push for. It makes you feel a lot more resilient.
Yeah, players have played with this power curve before, but you've never been able to see it or feel it in PvE because there was random elements. Now we're taking random out of the equation. You know, I mean, obviously there's still RNG with the drops, but now you can take an active role in making that the best piece of gear because that's the one you wanted. And now you can go get that flawless legendary run, you know. And yes, that means you can take that into the dark zone. That's not normalized, right? So I'm sure we'll have a conversation about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's actually going to hopefully kind of push people to want to go in the dark zone, right? Because before you come up with against someone with that perfect min-max build and you just haven't had as much luck, that is a tough fight for you, right? Now, if you've invested in your build and you're looking at it and you're like, every roll is as good as I can get it. My gear score is 286, or possibly a little bit higher if you have invested in some classifieds. You can have the confidence to go in and take on the unnormalized PvP.
It's going to be super awesome.
Yeah.
So they're getting their data for this new edition from Last Stand, and all of their testing is coming from Last Stand, and they just want everyone to basically have normalized gear. The problem I see with this is that, especially with the new Rogue 2.0 system coming, is that things are going to get really crappy really fast once they hit that breaking point. And what I mean by that is that I want you to imagine, with the new Rogue 2.0 system, you're going to have to press a button, which means you're going to go rogue. You're going to initiate rogue, and you're going to be pretty much easier to see. It's all line of sight, but you're still going to be hunted by quite a few god roll gears wearing, you know, killer hunters out there. These guys are going to be after rogues, and that's all they're going to want to do, and they're going to want to test these perfectly god roll builds. Now imagine you're one of the rogues. You and 3 of your buddies, all 4 of you, decided to go rogue on somebody, and you killed them and you ran away. And you get hunted. You try to get your, you know, your little rogue status cleared off so that you can get your caches. But remember, the rogue hunters know exactly where you're going, or they have an idea of where you're going. Eventually, people will know exactly where these spawn points are, and they're going to just be waiting. You won't stand a chance. If there are 4 of you, and even if you have perfect builds, if you're going up against 8, 9, maybe 6 people with perfect builds, I highly doubt you'll be able to make it. Some people, maybe they will. Maybe they have perfect tactics. Maybe they've been playing with their friends long enough and they can withstand it. But the majority of the people, I would say a high 98% of the people, will not be able to do this. and it will make going rogue completely stupid. Now, with that being said, let's just say that you agree with me and that going rogue will be pretty much stupid. What will there be left to do? Because you won't really be farming to get better gear because you have perfect gear. What will you be doing? Will you be looking for division tech so that you can maybe make another build and then try to perfect that? Okay, fair enough. That's cool. You do that. How many times? How many builds do you want to make until you really realize that when they make another update, all of those builds that you've made are just gonna get erased? So then what do? Do you spend your time playing PvE content that you've been playing for the past year with your perfect builds? Now that stuff is really easy. Where's the challenge? Where's the satisfaction? Where's the reward? Where's the carrot that makes you want to play and feel like something awesome is waiting for you every time you load up the game? I seriously think, in my opinion, that with the way that this optimization station is going to come about, it's going to take away the mystery of what gear can be. It's going to take away the grind in some respects, and it's going to take away the diversity of builds, because I guarantee you, when some of these popular build maker YouTubes come up with their perfectly optimized god roll gear that's perfectly laid out, all that the people who don't know what they're doing are going to do is find those builds, cookie cutter copy them, get them exactly the way they are, and then that's going to be the new meta for the Division. Where will the variety come from? Who knows? Maybe some people will start playing other builds just for fun, but as soon as they start getting wrecked and destroyed, they're going to give that up. Hopefully, with the new gear sets coming, hopefully with some of the new modes like Skirmish being that horde mode and some of the other new areas that are coming with the new pier, people will have other things to do and they'll find something fun to do. But I'm still worried about, after that initial honeymoon stage of 1.8, what is there really going to be left for players to do? You guys let me know. What do you think? Leave a comment in the comment section. I'm genuinely worried. Maybe I'm going crazy. Maybe I'm thinking too much. Let me know. What do you guys think? Do you agree? Disagree? Am I going crazy? Or do you think everything will just be fine? Let me know. I'm gone. Have a good one. Thanks for watching the video. I'll catch you next time. Peace.